Chapter 21. How to know yourself. The practice of dissolving, the second, the soul, in the one consciousness begins with the realization of yourself as a pure self, which is the primordial essence of the eternal space, whose name is Nirvana. Our pure self, and therefore we all, has our real name, and this name, Nirvana, residing in the pure self of its space of darkness. Our pure self contemplates its unified consciousness in the form of the space of white light. And when we connect ourselves in the image of a pure self by the method of contemplation to our single space of consciousness, then we recognize ourselves one, the one whom people call the God of eternity. But if our self is connected with the individual soul, then from the state of Nirvana, our united self enters not into the consciousness of the one itself, but into the individual consciousness of the soul, as into the assemblage point of the player by name second, not the first and only, because the process of the dissolution of the player, the second named soul, in himself as the one, makes it possible during life in the body to move his self into the consciousness of the one, becoming again the one, which is the unity of Nirvana, with his child, the space of consciousness, where the one self is always aware of the one self in myself, and second there has never been, because the second is the soul. This is a temporary game illusion of the one. For example, a drop of water from the ocean is an ocean. Also, a drop of soul consciousness is an ocean of the infinite space of consciousness of the one. The illusory soul, potentially eternal, like a drop of water that has flown out of the ocean. And while it flies in an individual flight, it seems to the drop that this flight is eternal. But time returns the drop home, dissolving it in the one ocean. There also comes a time when the illusory soul wants itself to dissolve in oneself, living illusory games in the second. Feel oneself one, return to your pure self, Nirvana. From your pure self, play your single instrument called space consciousness, creating new living melodies called eternal games of life. Therefore, by practicing the connection of the illusory soul, the second one to the one, they call samadhi. Let's call it a temporary connection, since the illusory player, the soul, can only temporarily be connected to itself as one to gain the experience of unity. If the soul wants to return to the constant knowledge of itself as the one, it will have to part with the illusory soul, having dissolved the soul in itself as the one. So, by the method of the practice of unity, the individual soul slowly melts, and more often our pure self finds itself not in the house of the soul, but in the house of our one consciousness, where we recognize ourselves as one. We must understand that only our pure self, as the primordial essence of the inseparable space, whose name is Nirvana, is that, the unchanging present, in which we abide as our eternal pure self, and the entire creation of our pure self is an illusion of our self, even if the illusion is called the God of eternity, and the entire creation of the illusory God is also illusory. This is the creation of the illusory God, is our soul and all being, which is also illusory. Except for the state of the pure self in itself, Nirvana, everything is illusory. Therefore, the illusion practicing illusions only reveals to itself its original illusions in the image of the one creator God. But only having reached the original illusion, which is the one consciousness of the one God, our pure self understands that in this place of the two of us, the real, only pure I, therefore, being in pure I, all eternal illusions melt, because you, in your pure self, found your eternal beginning, which tells you a phrase that you have known for a long time: I am the beginning and end of all my eternal illusions. I play them, also I, therefore, having entered your pure I. From it, you will see the complex eternity of building your illusions and decide for yourself which of them you should play. Or, having created new illusory worlds, you will enter them as into your body, again playing with yourself as the one. Therefore, do not be afraid of death. This is the dissolution of the illusion of the body. Also, don't be afraid of the dissolution of the individual illusory soul, as the consciousness of God is not afraid of dissolving itself as an illusion in the eternal nirvana of your pure self. All illusions will be dissolved in pure self, only your eternal one pure self will remain. From it, a new God will be born, the creator of illusions in the form of a new space of consciousness, and your pure self will enter into him as into your body, creating new souls. Entering them will again play the second, and so it was and will be forever. Therefore, your pure self is the beginning and end of the construction of all eternal game illusions. Realizing this, just stay in the silence of your pure self. From it, decide for yourself what your eternal illusions to play and what new illusions to create. Or maybe you just want to stay contemplating the emptiness of all illusions from your self-nirvana. Now you know that apart from you in eternity, there is no one to decide in which of your eternal states stay and what to believe in, since apart from your one pure self, there has never been anyone here in eternity. The pure self plays with itself in an illusory mirror reflection no I, creating and dissolving its illusions, always creating helpers for itself from itself, playing teacher and student, suffering and the one who brings suffering. So confusing your illusions so that the game and the reflection not I is interesting. Therefore, smile at yourself in the mirror of all your eternity, accepting yourself as one in all reflections of your eternity, and finally calm down, laugh, continuing to play, smiling at yourself one from pure I, outwardly, pretending that you do not know anything about yourself or one. From such a state of pure I, Nirvana, who has known itself, plays in the form of the Mahasiddhas, more often just playing the fool, shockingly laughing at their serious reflections in the form of all beings of eternity, slowly revealing to their reflections the one yourself. This can be represented in the form of a living mirror, which shows the one looking into it, his internal problems, freeing and dissolving them in himself the one, and as a result, forcing the one looking into the mirror to laugh at all, his eternity from the state of his pure self. And again, it happened. Your pure self again cognized itself, dissolving the illusions created by yourself.